Hi, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. Hey, remember when they told Americans not to wear masks because we just didn't need them? Turns out even wrapping a goddamn t-shirt around your head reduces your chances of getting the virus by like 63%. This is probably information I could have used earlier! So anyway, feel free to mask up. The government announced Wednesday that the nation's PPE supply has almost disappeared. Of all the frustrations that I have with this pandemic, our inability to plan for it in any way, shape, or form has been the worst. Because of the shortages, hospitals and states and cities are essentially battling each other on the open market for PPE. In even worse news, a lot of the people winning these open market negotiations are foreign countries or foreign companies, so American firms that have PPE are currently shipping them overseas. I just want to say that there's an assortment of people that I want to punch right now.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is receiving death threats from hardcore Trump supporters for, get this, correcting Trump's inaccuracies. I'd also like to add that President Trump thus far has had no issues with the man, has spoken highly of him, and has even made corrections after hearing from him. So there's clearly no beef, and we all know that Trump goes after people he has beef with. So what the hell is wrong with you? You're gonna try and kill the only guy that seems to have a plan and knows what the hell he's talking about just because he doesn't agree with Trump 100% of the time? He's been a doctor for 50 years. He's served multiple administrations. He's a total genius stud. The president is not a doctor and is doing his best to explain what he understands. He's often wrong. Trump is not a god, people. He's a fallible man, just like everyone else. Leave Fauci alone. Calm the fuck down and leave Fauci alone! Just leave him alone!
Adam Schlesinger, the co-founder of the band Fountains of Wayne, has succumbed to COVID-19 this week. We hope you see Stacy's mom in heaven, sir. Fair winds.
In a shocking twist of decency, Biden offered to call Trump and help him work through issues concerning the coronavirus. When told about the offer by the press, Trump welcomed the call. He went on to say about Biden, "I've always found him to be a nice guy. I don't know him very well, frankly, but I think he's probably a nice guy. No, if you'd like to call, I'd absolutely take his call. Okay? You can tell him."
Some other quick hit coronavirus updates. The hospital ship Comfort has docked in Manhattan to help out with issues there. The US has surpassed all other countries in cases of coronavirus, except for China, who has clearly been lying their motherfucking asses off. President Trump has extended the coronavirus guidelines through the end of April. The expected apex of the virus is still 2 to 3 weeks away, so it's still going to get worse before it gets better.
Facebook announced its plan to donate $100 million towards news and media outlets that are hurting financially. The gesture is widely appreciated thus far. However, many news reporters say that it's info giants like Facebook and Google that have caused their economic decline. People don't feel the need to pay for the news anymore. So while nice, they hope that this will spark larger conversation about revenue sharing in the future. But I'm willing to bet good Facebook money that it only donates to agencies that it approves of. Come on, Facebook, give BNN some of that sweet, sweet money. Moscow has sent United States giant plane full of PPE to combat COVID-19. The president called gesture very nice. The president's critics were quick to say that he gave Russia propaganda an opportunity to grow. Meanwhile, ICU nurses out of New York say, just give us the fucking PPE. Idaho was struck by a 6.5 magnitude earthquake that sent literal shockwaves throughout the state. Several scientists had warned that this event was coming, but were largely ignored. This being because there hasn't been an earthquake like this in Idaho since 1983. Citizens were upset upon being notified that the warning from the science community had been ignored. In the end, they decided that it was everyone's fault.
You ever have the kind of day where your favorite waterfall just vanishes? Ecuador has. The San Rafael waterfall on the Coco River in Ecuador has disappeared. One day it was there, and the next, not so much. Scientists think that a sinkhole opened up somewhere along the river, and now millions and millions of gallons of water are running underground on some sort of magical Goonie-style Chester Copperpot adventure. But seriously, a sinkhole just took out the largest waterfall in Ecuador. Mother Nature is not to be trifled with.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu seems poised to remain Prime Minister for another term despite indictment, and it all appears thanks to the coronavirus. His political opponent Benny Gantz, elected Speaker of Parliament, moved to create an emergency government. This shocked many people because it presumes that he plans to serve under the indicted Netanyahu. Gantz justified the move after a year of campaigning against Netanyahu, saying that his campaign is about Israel first and that an international crisis is no time to change leadership. What a mensch.
As of March 31st, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are no longer part of the royal family. No, I know. It cuts me too. The official separation now allows Harry and Meghan to monetize who they are, which, given that they're no longer part of the royal family, I'm not exactly sure what monetization for who they are will look like. Meghan has taken the natural progression from being a princess to doing the voiceover for a Disney elephant. It's still unknown what Harry's going to do at this time, but guys, if you see a resume that says Henry Charles Albert David, that's him. He's that guy. He's got 4 first names, no last names, and there's nothing weird about that.
Liberty University, a for-profit Christian university owned by Jerry Falwell, decided to keep school open. Despite almost unilateral global agreement that social distancing and testing is the best way to stave off the coronavirus, Falwell disagreed. School resumed last week until Virginia's governor shut it down. So far, 3 Liberty University students have tested positive for COVID-19, and it's unclear how many others are affected with the bug. Way to go, Jerry.
Last week, the United States unemployment claims hit a record 3.28 million. Well, triple that shit. Yesterday on April 2nd, 6.6 million more people have filed for unemployment claims. So now we're knocking on the door of 10 million people unemployed. If you've got somebody right now that's pumping sunshine saying the economy's going to recover just like that and this is no big deal, punch them right in the face. There's no data that suggests we're going to recover quickly. In fact, the only time in history where we've been able to recover very quickly from a situation like this was for World War II. Personally, hoping we don't have World War III just to kick the economy back off. But China's asking for it! Anyway, support people that you know that need help as best you can, because I think we're in for the long haul here.
Philippines President Duarte hit the airwaves this week to tell his citizens that if they leave quarantine, they will be shot and killed. Earlier in the week, citizens and police clashed over people still being out during the lockdown orders. At least 20 people were arrested. Following that, the death threats came from the president. Many countries have issued lockdown orders. A number have asked their population to give up privacy in order that the government can better track COVID data. But this order is a first, and certainly the most aggressive. It's a bold move, Duarte. Let's see if it pays off.
Monday, a Van Gogh painting was stolen from a Dutch museum. Thieves smashed in the front door and made off with an 1884 painting that had been lent by the Netherlands. As of yet, it is unclear. However, it seems like the security was probably scaled back because of the coronavirus scare. If this was a movie, right now we'd be looking at an inside job. The paintings and the thieves are still at large, as the police are unsure where the getaway van goed.
A coastal town in North Wales has found itself with a dozen new neighbors. A couple days after British Prime Minister Boris Johnson put tighter restrictions on social gatherings, the town was overrun by goats. The goats, who typically graze on a field overlooking the town, generally keep to themselves. However, with the town being a little more empty than usual, the goats got curious. So far, there have been no reports of goat damage or injury from the animals. In fact, it's actually working in the town's favor, as the goats have been seen eating overgrown shrubs and grass. Since most of the town is unable to work due to the coronavirus, the goats are the only thing keeping the town clean. They're not the heroes we wanted, but they're the heroes we need. Sorry, that was bad.
In an unprecedented move to stop the spread of the virus in Turkmenistan, the Prime Minister outlawed the use of the word coronavirus. Honestly, their Prime Minister is the Middle East version of Joe Exotic from Tiger King. Prime Minister, I can't pronounce his name, put harsh new restrictions on anyone traveling that might be exposed to coronavirus. Here in the States, that means social distancing and hand washing. But Birdie went with a different route, just banning the word itself. After all, if the word doesn't exist, the virus doesn't exist. Not only is he banning the word coronavirus, but he is arresting people that wear face masks in public or use the word in public. Currently, the country has no cases of coronavirus, but if I had to guess, they're Chinaing the shit out of this thing. That means they're lying. Not surprisingly, the country ranked last in the Press Freedom Index, which is a measure of how much freedom the press has, as the name implies. They ranked last behind, second to last, North Korea. So that should give you some idea of what they think about freedom. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that banning the word coronavirus probably isn't going to help anything. And maybe Birdie will ultimately go back to being a rapper or a DJ or a race car driver or a race horse driver, all jobs that he has tried while acting as Prime Minister. For more information on China lying, we go live to Hong Kong.
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
As if we needed anything else to go wrong during this COVID epidemic, apparently a multitude of ISIS fighters have escaped their prison in Syria. Seriously. During the detention center uprising, ISIS fighters ripped the doors off of their cells and used it to bash their way through. All right, but hang on. What were these doors made out of? Because have you seen ISIS fighters? It's not as if they're out there winning CrossFit games. Was this a Japanese paper prison? Anyways, US coalition forces are trying to find these guys using air surveillance, of which we have no idea how many there are or where there are. Super.
Some, if not all, police departments in England are tired of people blowing off the stay-home orders. There is apparently a blue lagoon in Harper Hill near Buxton that many young millennial and zennial Instagrammers like to go to and take pictures. Well, the police have a response for that. They dyed the blue lagoon black, like my heart. The interesting thing is that the color is probably more apropos for the lagoon, because even though it's pretty from a distance, it's actually full of trash, chemicals, and dead animals. So it's probably better for people to stay away from it anyway.
Takechi 6ix9ine is being released from jail. He's gonna serve the next 4 months under house arrest. What could go wrong? I'm not an expert, but that kid's gonna die.
Patriots owner Robert Kraft bought 1.2 million N95 masks, flew to China on the Patriots jet, and flew them back to donate to hospitals in need. Why? Because they're the goddamn New England Patriots. That's why. You know which team hasn't flown shit to the US? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And finally, in Florida Man news, Florida Man is back with a vengeance, and this time he's using the threat of weapons of mass destruction. Because why not? I have to say that last week's bets were that Florida Man was either going to steal more toilet paper or maybe spit on somebody and threaten COVID-19 in some other way, but that's not what we got. 50-year-old David Randolph White decided to threaten a business using nothing more than a marker and a spray can. Witnesses told officers that a man sprayed an unknown liquid all over the doors, handles, and windows of a business from a bottle that was labeled COVID-19. He then told employees and patrons that they were all infected with the coronavirus. This spurred the Florida Joint Terrorism Task Force to be mobilized. White was arrested soon thereafter with possessing and threatening to use or pretending to use a weapon of mass destruction. The local business that was allegedly targeted by the suspect, that has not been identified by name, has taken great caution to sanitize everything that was touched by this gentleman. In short, White faces up to 30 years in prison for being an idiot. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisciano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and I want to close out with a little bit of information about small business loans. Right now, there's some pretty awesome loans available. The one that I think is most important for most small businesses, if you're a small business that is not laying anyone off, you can get a loan in very short order for 2 months of payroll. At the end of that 2 months, if you have not laid anyone off, they are actually going to forgive the loan entirely. Huge opportunity for some of you that need it right now. There are other loans, including one where you can get a quick $10,000 just to help out. You should look through all of them, but that one loan for most of you out there is going to be incredibly valuable. I highly recommend looking into that. And then, of course, for those of you that support BNN, You can buy sweet shirts like the one I'm wearing right now at rangerup.com. Use code BNN for 25% off. See you guys next week. And now it's time for the small business shout-outs. Ordinance Brewing in Boardman, Oregon.
The Cake Lady in South Haven, Mississippi.
Arlo's Ristorante in Sandpoint, Idaho, giving free meals to kids.
Boss's Pizza and Chicken in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
F&S Auto Clinic in Levittown, Pennsylvania, veteran owned and operated.
From across the pond in North Richland Hills, Texas.
Beard BQ Barbecue Sauce in Rapid City, South Dakota, veteran owned and operated.
Remedy Brewing Co. of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Eggles Wood Stuffs on Etsy.
Pete's Cafe in Thornton, Colorado.
Real McCoys in Wake Forest, North Carolina, veteran owned and operated.
Rusty's Burner Service in Putnam County, New York.
Recycling House from Sydney, Ohio.
Kavanaugh Outdoor Supply in Jeffersonville, Indiana, veteran owned.
Hoffman Auto Shop in Archer City, Texas.
Local Bar and Grill with a K in Kennesaw, Georgia.
Backward Brewing Company in Forked River, New Jersey, veteran owned and operated.
Graveface Records and Curiosities in Savannah, Georgia.
Hometown Pizza in Oroville, Washington.
Jimmy John's franchise in downtown Dayton, Ohio that supports Wright Pat Air Force Base.
Article 15 Brewing Company in Weymouth, Mass, veteran and firefighter owned and operated.
Ditcher Quick and Hide Divorce Lawyers in Miami, Florida. Bet they're gonna be busy soon.
Seven Kingdoms Tattoo in LaGrange, Georgia.
Fat Boy Skinnies in Leesville, Louisiana.
The Vault Guns and Ammo in Gaylord, Michigan, also veteran owned and operated.
Tattered Flag in Middleton, Pennsylvania, veteran owned and operated.
Loyal Drums in Stafford, Virginia, veteran owned and operated.
BeachHouseByMichaela.com.
Senor Ají in Fresno, California for some amazing Peruvian food.
Ink 82 Brewery in Dublin, California.
Lucille's Barbecue in Fort Wayne, Indiana, also providing free meals to kids.
Golden Arrow Archery Service in Ferndale, Washington.
Jansen Whaley Plant Nursery in Wartburg, Tennessee.
Comsteel LLC in Bellingham, Washington, veteran owned.
The Middle of Nowhere Diner in West Greenwich, Rhode Island for some awesome cuisine by a Gold Star family.
Beechwood Eatery in the Dales, Oregon.
Dan's Place, also in West Greenwich, owned by a Marine.
Bull City Olive in Durham, North Carolina.
Unita Burrito and Pizza in Sonora, California.
Bitler Custom Firearms in Blue Springs, Missouri.
Battlegrounds Coffee in Haverhill, Massachusetts. But seriously, it's pronounced Haverhill.
Counter-Strike Tactical in Melbourne, Florida, veteran owned.
Hugger Mugger Brewery in Sanford, North Carolina.
Spotted Dog Brewery in Mesilla, New Mexico.
Camelback Brewery in Sanford, North Carolina.
Other World Books and more in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin.
Bellawood Brewery in Lillington, North Carolina.
British Unlimited Auto Repair in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Peter Welsh's Gym from South Boston for online workouts and boxing instruction.
Wildman Arms and Outfitters in Little Rock, Arkansas, veteran owned. Tessellate Executive Transportation in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And that's all the small business shout outs we have from you guys from last week. Feel free to put more in the comments and we'll give them a shout next week.